Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everyone. Fantastic. Whoa. Fantastic to hear such a buzz in the room here at Eagle Street, and happy new financial year. It's wonderful for you to be here. We have quite a lot on this morning, actually. It's going to be quite a full, interesting, packed program, I hope. The main part of it is to talk to you all about the strategy and our new values and some of the work that we're going to be doing to work on our culture and embed our new values. So a pretty exciting one for myself, for the executive team and the senior leaders. We've been through this at our offsite recently. Thank you. Before I start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we're meeting. We are meeting here in Brisbane at Meanjin, which is jointly owned by the Turrbal and Yagara people. And of course, in Sydney, we have team members coming to us from the land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. It's important to us to reflect on the traditional owners of the lands that we are coming to you all on, we're gathering on, because we have 17 First Nations councils, and our Reconciliation Action Plan does commit to improving and making as good as it can be the culturally relevant services that we provide to members who identify as Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander. Thank you. So I'm going to start off by talking to you about the financial year strategy for the year coming up. But before that, I did want to talk about the amazing job that you all did in performance on the last year. So we just got our Organisational Health Index report yesterday. That was a +84, so well in advance of the performance last year. And such a credit to everybody for the work that you've done to make this a high-performing organisation, which is obviously what we aspire to. But importantly, 100 out of 100 on KPIs and milestone deliveries. I have to say, I have never done that before, ever, my whole life. So proud and so impressed at the work that you've done. And I know that they were stretch goals because 2 of them we only made on the 30th of June. We thought we were going to fail. So minute early is a minute wasted. Shouldn't say that too often, but great job, team. Absolutely fantastic. You can really tell that the members also appreciate the work that we're doing. The Net Promoter Score that we've got up here was the 5th highest in the superannuation industry, and that's really what it is all about. It is working for our members to give them great outcomes and great experiences. Now, the reason why we're talking about our KPI performance from last year, the extraordinary KPI performance from last year, at the start of our discussions on strategy, is that we're really into the second year of our 3-year turnaround of bad cash flow. And I spoke about that a little bit at the last Fully Invested Live, going to go into it a little bit more deeply this time. And also we spoke about it at the Senior Leadership Team Conference. So hopefully you'll see that all of this message, or everything that we say, is integrated and that we're very continuing on our strategic way in a very purposeful manner. Thanks. All right, so given that we're in the second year of our strategy, a question that you might ask, because we have a fair number of newish people, is how do we go about establishing that strategy in the first place? And how does that strategy evolve around our purpose? Because one of the things you're going to hear a lot more about this year is our purpose. It's all about the personal connections guiding members to retire confidently. What we did was, when we were setting up the strategy, we started with the problem statement that actually guided all of our merger activity coming to this point, had its origins in the foundation funds, particularly LGI Super, and that was all about, you know, building a sustainable Queensland super fund that was all about building those personal connections, because that was what we saw as being really unique. So when you look at these statements, you do need to sort of understand what sustainable means. And sustainable is basically balanced. It's got to be sustainable financially. It's got to have a new niche in the market. You know, our unique value proposition of boots on the ground. It's got to talk to a market need to be genuinely sustainable. It's got to be big enough to actually deliver on the regulatory requirements. We've got to keep our fees low. We've got to keep our performance good. So all of that, the cash flows reflect that sustainability. So when we had a look at our metrics, it was the cash flows that were the problem. We were having competitive rollouts, And so that's why we decided that we'd focus on bad cash flow as the really big indicator that needed to be fixed at the time of bad cash flow. Now, having got to the end of a very successful year where we did, our implementation of that strategy, the question that we then asked is, is this strategy still fit for purpose? And I think it's really important to do that. The first thing we did was to actually reaffirm that purpose, to say, does that purpose, it's all about the personal connections, guiding members to retire confidently, does it still resonate? Does it still talk to our essence? Is it still what makes us unique? And is it still what would be missing if Brighter Super suddenly disappeared, which none of us want to happen, obviously. We did have a resounding yes at that time. All right, so if we've reaffirmed our purpose of it's all about the personal connections, guiding members to retire confidently, then how do we actually realise that? What do we want to look like as a vision going forward? And what we have up here is the vision that we came up with when we workshopped as a team. What do we think that this vision looks like? We did talk about our unique value proposition, which makes us different, of boots on the ground, 41 super specialists, twice as many per member as any other funds. And we also talked about what our history shows about us, what we do demonstrably well. And what we came up with was this one up here. We want to be a member-owned fund, combining the strengths of industry and retail super to shape the future of retirement, and known for our personal connections, guiding members into advice. So again, what are the elements of that shaping the future? We make bold moves and drive positive change for our members and for the future of super and retirement. Strengths of industry and retail, our fund is very different. Amazing the number of people who say that our fund is very different. We are uniquely positioned because of our history to combine the stability and member focus of an industry fund with the innovation and flexibility of retail. So that is a core competitive advantage. We're also in Brisbane. We're not burdened by being an industry fund in Melbourne or a retail fund in Sydney. We can be whoever we want to be. And that, I think, is what we have to do. The personal connections and guidance, that was the unique value proposition. That was the essence, and that was the purpose that we saw right from 7 years ago when we first articulated it at LGR Super. So why do we think that we can actually do that? I think it's an important question to ask. You set a vision, you set a strategy. Do you actually think it's going to work? It's important to contemplate that. First of all, I do think culturally the model works really well for our fund. So our strengths are our innovation, our agility, our commercialised risk culture, and as I said, our location in Queensland. We've demonstrated some of these elements in the past. So our very unique acquisition of Suncorp Super through the returning reserve, and the fact that we've got this money that we can use again to advance members' outcomes in the fund. Our large risk-only book with its potential for cross-referral and unique access to risk-only advisors through Zurich Assured and TAL. And for coming up in our business plan, our planned separate low-fee indexed advisor offering, which will further support the value proposition that the team has been working on to our comprehensive advisors. So we know we can do it. We know we've got the kind of the grains of sand to get started to build this great building. But in order to thrive, we did feel that we needed to refresh our values in order to reflect our modern, innovative, member-owned outlook. And we're going to talk about that through a lot of this time this morning, because you can see that given those elements are so interwoven around who we are as a fund, the values and the culture are an absolute driver of our success and our ability to deliver on the future. So what are some of the implementation considerations for this year? I did show this slide at the last Fully Invested live last month, and to me, that really does express what this year is going to be about in Brighter Super's transformation. So what we need to do is to evolve the optimisation of our channel management. Last year, we worked on the individual channels, and we really set a great framework for each one of those individual channels to deliver efficiently and effectively to members. What we must do this year is look at them overall, look at performance, look at cost, look at outcomes, and then drive the resource allocation into each one of those channels and the activity into each one of those channels in a dynamic way as the market works, as we get more information, as the business builds. And of course, all of that can only be done through the fantastic and important support work from our people and culture team, from our risk and compliance team, product and performance. Product is really the owner normally of the channel optimization process. That's the way it sort of normally works in banks, and that's ultimately what we will deliver here. And through service, you know, it is incredibly important that every part of our organisation is brought together to deliver on our bad cash flow for this year through this model. At the end of last year, something incredible happened, and that was a Scrum team came together from across the business to actually deliver on those 2 KPIs that we made on the 30th of June. And it would not have happened without that Scrum team and that focus. It was an incredible thing to watch, I have to say. I was lucky enough to get along to one of their daily Scrums, and I just sat there in awe. I thought, well, this is beautiful. Isn't this wonderful how this is all working? So that's what we need to do, actually, is to make sure that we come together as teams to solve specific problems that are important to us at each point in the development and delivery of our strategy. Now, I spoke earlier about the fact that our culture is an enabler of what we do, and frankly is a differentiator from other people. Member-owned retail fund, very different. So Market Shaper is the organisational health index, the OHI recipe, and what it does is it tells you the elements that you need to kind of really focus on and get right to deliver well in that type of model. And, you know, shaping markets is at the heart of our vision, and it is what we do best. We do innovation. So let's really grab onto all of those elements. Some of the elements that are really important here, you can see are capturing external ideas. That was actually one of the ones that really improved this year in our OHI. So fantastic to see how all of you have taken it on board to kind of look up and outside, because that is what will allow us to drive. Business partnerships, we can't do this on our own. Tech Mahindra, one of our most important partnerships, but not the only partnership. Being able to partner and deliver skills in a cost-effective way towards joint outcomes, incredibly important part of Market Shaper. Role clarity, we do all need to know what we're doing and who's doing what. We're only still quite small, so we can't have 2 people doing the same thing at the same time in different ways. Customer focus, another one that really increased over the year. And again, that's about sort of stepping up and looking outside of what we're trying to do each year. Top-down innovation, we've done very well. What I want to see this year is bottom-up innovation. And when we talk about innovation, it does not have to be big. It can be pretty little things. When I say pretty little things, I mean some little things. They can be pretty as well. That just come together and bring ideas from all sorts of places and just change the way that we're thinking in a way that makes a difference to our members. And competitive insight. So you can see in this Market Shaper recipe, there's a big focus on understanding what is going on in the industry with our competitors, in sort of other financial services, that sort of thing. Now, you can see how aligned all of that stuff is to our strategy of being a member-owned retail fund, and how it does line up with our real strengths as an organisation, which we need to lean into as a fund at the bottom of the mid-size range. So we have done an incredible job. We've come from 3 subscale funds that, you know, had to merge in all cases, to a genuine, significant financial institution, but we are still at the bottom of the scale there. And so operating sustainably is the way we have to actually make the most of what we've done in the past. We are now also a significant financial institution, and uplifting our risk culture is another piece that's very important to me this year. So I've talked about optimising channels. I've talked about the Market Shaper recipe. The third thing that's a real focus for me this year is genuinely embedding our risk maturity program in order to become a significant financial institution in the way that we manage our risks. So as a sign of maturity this year, we're integrating our commercialised risk culture into our broader culture, and that's a really exciting thing to be doing. our concept of commercialised risk culture, which is really where we make decisions on members' money as if it was our money. And I've got to say, for a lot of us, certainly for me, that is absolutely the case. I've got all my super with Brighter Super. And being able to make decisions in that frame is incredibly important in our cultural work this year. It's also incredibly important to APRA because as a significant financial institution, our risk management across the organisation is going to need to lift up so that we're going to be able to demonstrate how we're managing risk in the decisions that we're making. And our risk management needs to be more structured. It needs to be able to be more observable, more objective, more documented. We need more rigour around our controls environment. In fact, we'll need a pivot from managing risks to managing controls. You look at really mature, significant financial institutions, they know about the risks, but that's a given. It's actually knowing about the controls on the risks and how the controls on the risks are working. That is actually what's important. So a big pivot for us this year on that. And we're also going to have to shift the way we think about risk capabilities and performing the functions. In line one, in the business areas, we need more focus on risk capability and risk management and actually documenting the work that's done on risk management. And then a shift in line two so that line two genuinely becomes an assurance function over how the controls are working, how the risk management framework is being bedded, etc. So a significant and I have to say quite exciting piece of work for us this year because I think that will really solidify our place as a significant financial institution and the fourth largest non-government financial institution in Queensland. So how will we know that we're going okay on our journey? These are the KPIs from last year and you can see it's a balanced scorecard again. A lot of them are rollovers from last year because we are actually in the second year of our rollover journey. There are some big step ups in some of them. So pension fund conversion is probably a pretty big step up. This year, in addition to the rollovers out fund, which is bad cash flow, we are adding in net rollovers, and that is to reflect the fact that we are expecting there to be some focus on acquisition, things like family and friends, things that we're already doing, referrals, spouses, you know, in the workplace, using Payday Super to make the most of our employer opportunities, also those sorts of things. But it's still a big focus on retention, as you can see by the fact we've still got rollovers out fund in there. So all of these you'll be talking about as teams. We've obviously spoken about them as executive. I know each one of the functions has been talking about what they look like. This year, I'm hoping that we'll have more shared KPIs across the functions, and I'm also hoping that we'll go further with corporate KPIs, outcomes, so that you're all responsible for the outcomes, not just for performing the activity. And that, I think, will give us even more agility so that, you know, when we know that things are not going the way they should, we can actually change the things that we're doing. Thanks. And this is the last bit on the strategy piece for me. What we've done is come up with a service promise, and this reflects the things that we're good at and the promises that we make to members. It actually was started by the small funds, and I thought, well, that's a good idea, but put our own unique slant, a bit more retail-y on it, as it won't surprise you to know all of that. But you can see we do have a focus on giving the best possible member outcomes through our products. We do have a genuine focus on guidance and advice and personal connections. We do have a focus on service because that underpins our license to do what we do. And it can also be a really great way of ensuring that members get their questions answered efficiently and cheaply. And if we do all of that, then members will continue to advocate for us. So we've committed to putting this, how we go the last 3 months, up on our web this year, Member Online this year. We won't put the targets. The targets are aspirational, but we will certainly be holding ourselves to account to be on that journey. Thanks. Okay, so one more, thanks. So that's our strategy, kind of in a nutshell. I know it was a bit of a whip through, but it's not new. It's the second year, and you know, we've kind of built it out as the organisation becomes more mature. But we have said we want to modernise our culture and we want to modernise our values. And I just did want to say that this is an evolution. It's not a revolution. So our values are new, but they are built on trust, integrity, partnership, which is still foundation. Our culture, our values, our strategy all talk to the purpose that we've spoken about earlier, to our heritage and to our uniqueness as a fund. So I just wanted to, have the slide up here that shows that we are still reflecting on the history that has brought us to be where we are. So how do we decide, or how did we decide? We went through a process of deciding what's best in modernising our culture and strategy and values. So the first step was to engage a company called Partners in Performance to help shape and evolve Brighter Super's culture. And they helped us to define and explore 4 key dimensions. First of all, purpose, vision and strategy. There's been a lot of work on that one. Values and culture we're talking about today. Sustaining disciplines and governance, which are the things that allow us to refresh ourselves, the innovation pieces, and execution discipline, which, if we can't execute properly as a only just mid-sized fund, it's not going to work. So with your expertise, we did want to deep dive with their expertise, we wanted to deep dive in these areas, which we did do by conducting 25 or more than 25 actually interviews with senior leaders and exec leaders and board members. They came in and they had a look at our governance routines and our decision-making processes, and they reviewed some of our important policies, etc. And through that, they identified our strengths and our gaps. And in particular, they did highlight some real cultural strengths across the business, in particular member focus, and identified opportunities, or the opportunity, which we agreed with, to modernise the values and behaviours to support our purpose, our growth and our strategy. So using all of that discovery, we took the time to develop some modernised values and behaviours aligned to member focus, high performance, innovation and collaboration. And again, you can hear the thematics of Market Shaper coming through all of that. And now we're in the phase of launching and embedding those as our values underpin everything that we do. Thank you. So these are our values: aspiring for our members, unlocking innovation, performance with purpose and winning together. And you can see at the core, our essence or our purpose is still at the centre of everything we do. And as I said, trust, integrity and partnership are still foundational values that you'll see woven through some of the how we show up behaviours. These values align much better, I think, to our current strategy and our culture and our behaviours to deliver on our differentiated, unique value proposition at pace. So I'll take you quickly through the 4 elements, and then you're going to hear from other people, which will be great. So the first one, aspiring for our members, is central to how we can deliver on our purpose of delivering personal connections with members, guiding them to retire confidently. Now, you can see we've got a main statement under each one of these. So in this case, it is that we anticipate and respond to our members' needs, helping them retire with confidence. And really, this one's important because every decision needs to be made from a member back perspective. That is the way that we will deliver the best possible outcomes, and that is the way that we'll deliver a commercialised risk culture. Thank you. The second one is unlocking innovation. So we value new ideas and innovate by challenging ourselves to learn, test and improve every day. Now, this is innovation, I think, being Market Shaper, being out there, is the only way we can succeed as a fund that is just mid-sized. So it's at the centre of the Market Shaper recipe, and I think this reflects what we're actually trying to do now. What's important here is that innovation, as I said, it doesn't have to be huge to be really meaningful innovation. And the best example I think I can give of that is Jack Sheriff's work on innovation to get our casual lifesavers at the Gold Coast Council into income protection. And that won the very first Andrew Cormie Innovation Award. It was small, but it was real, genuine, impactful innovation. So in a regulated environment, innovation does need to be reasonably well controlled. So when we roll out some risk frameworks we're going to talk to, which look to delivered risks, so the risk of making change to the organisation that will endure past the project to deliver it. When we roll that out, you'll see that we're quite tight on how we support innovation. We want to do it in a controlled manner so that we innovate, but we don't sort of get ourselves hurt on the way. And as we learn how to do that and we demonstrate that we're becoming an SFI and we're more observable in our risk practices, then we can start to release some of those reins as well. Performance with purpose. This one will underpin execution excellence as we work through our strategy. And linking what we do to purpose, I think, will help us make the right decisions and trade-offs in all of our work. So this one here is we value high performance and hold each other accountable. And I think we've come a long way in that, but there's definitely still work. When we sort of do our OHI debriefs, there's definitely still work to do in this area. And finally, the last value, my favourite, is winning together. We work together, break down silos, support each other to succeed as Brighter Super. I think this is the only way, winning together, that we will actually be able to show our members and the world just how great we are and just how far we've come. Now, we've come that far by working in our functions and developing mature functions. So now is the time to actually leverage each other. As I said, that means we're going to have more shared outcome KPIs. We'll have more cross-functional Scrum teams like the pension conversion Scrum team that we saw. And we'll work really hard on making commercialised risk decisions together for the good of the enterprise. And that, in my mind, is how we're going to become truly great. And isn't this beautiful? This is all our people actually taken from LinkedIn, really genuinely demonstrating values in action. Thank you.
Hi team, it's James. You know, from down here. New South Wales. I'm a big fan of our new values, and you may not be surprised to learn that the one that really appeals to me.
Okay, now hopefully you'll hear from the leaders.
Hi team, it's James. Hi team, it's James. You know, from down here, New South Wales. I'm a big fan of our new values, and you may not be surprised.
All right, team, I think we might share that. So apparently it worked in the test, but obviously not working well now. It's actually a fantastic video, so I'm sorry that we can't all see it together, but I hope you do watch it when we share the it really does go, it talks about our values from the ELT's perspective, but I think now I'm going to hand over to Lisa, who's going to help us with some SLT reflections.
Okay, hi everyone. And yes, post that video, I think all the ELT decided they were going to keep their day jobs. But apart from that, it is an awesome video. So I would encourage you all to watch it and we'll get it out to you. So look, my job is just to talk a little bit about what's been happening behind the scenes with the ELT and SLT. The ELT and SLT haven't got together, I suppose, a lot in terms of an offsite and collaborated recently, but they have in the last couple of weeks. So the theme of this get together for us was around we lead with a commercial mindset to serve in our members' best financial interests. And what this really means is we lead with putting the needs of the business first ahead of our own. This enterprise thinking will help us to serve in our members' best financial interests, be more innovative, also to respectfully challenge and intentionally collaborate to solve some of our challenges or problems. The great thing about a commercial or enterprise mindset is that you don't need a leadership title in order to demonstrate this. Each of us can model this every day in our work at any level of the organisation, and the sum of all of our individual contributions is what will evolve our culture. So the intent of this day was to create alignment and to spark some new ideas and thinking around our strategy and purpose to collaborate, share ideas around what really great looks like and where are opportunities with our new values and what we call our how you show up behaviours. So the interesting picture you can see on the screen, and we'll be sharing this more broadly. I know it's pretty hard to see. In Brisbane, we have it up on the wall here. This is a picture that was created by a lady called Hayley Langsdorff. She is what you call a corporate doula, and she created the essence of that offsite in pictures. And that's really important for us because what you will see and experience over the course of the coming months is that we're going to bring our culture live through storytelling. The three big rocks that I can talk about for the day included, as Kate mentioned before, really engaging around the power of purpose. We asked a guest speaker, was Megan Kelleher, the Deputy CEO or the prior Deputy CEO of Great Southern Bank, to come along. And really that discussion was talking about during periods of change, how do you align your people to the purpose of the organisation in order to connect their everyday work to the reason why the organisation exists? It was a really great discussion between Kate and Megan. The ELT also discussed how they're applying their enterprise mindset, and we called it an in conversation. It was pretty relaxed, and how the ELT, their teams, are working across divisions to collaborate, and how they're currently using trade-offs and making trade-off decisions in order to put the needs of Brighter Super ahead of their own divisional KPIs. And in this way, this is how we can achieve the growth of Brighter Super, but also operate in members' best interests. I'm really sorry about that microphone. It's really annoying, isn't it? I'm stepping back a little bit more. And then lastly, but by no means least, we workshopped the values and the how you show up behaviours. And really, that workshop was about what are we already doing really well that we want to leverage, but what do we really need to dial up around specific opportunities in terms of our behaviours to achieve our strategy. So I think that's enough from me now. Let's hand over to hear from some of our senior leaders. We have some in Sydney and we have some here in Brisbane with us today. So I'm just going to call on Chris Sager, Head of Product in Sydney, to talk a little bit around aspiring for members and what this value means to you.
Thanks, Lisa. So firstly, what a great uplift and refresh our values. They really do resonate with me. We heard Kate say that winning together was her favourite. So I was actually really happy when Lisa asked me to talk about aspiring for our members, because that's actually my favourite. So works well. So to me, what aspiring for our members means, it's really about how we show up every day with purpose. We know the decisions that we make are going to have a massive impact on our members' futures now and at retirement. It will make a big difference how we invest to what they get out in the end. So it's about holding ourselves to a high standard and always asking the question, is this in the right interest of our members? Would we be making this decision if those members were included with us here today? In the product team specifically, it means designing offers that are simple, valuable, and intentionally created. We all play a key part though. It's the meaningful conversations that our team have with our members on phone and on the road. It's the way our investment team invest the money with care and diligence as if it were their own. And it's how we support our members through the key life moments, really hold their hand. Superannuation is complex. Key life moments are different for everyone, and it's knowing that we are there for them every step of the way. But it's also about making those smart, sustainable decisions that protect our members over the long term. So for me, aspiring for members means making sure everything we offer truly helps them have a better retirement. Thanks. Good one.
Thanks, Chris. We had a little technical issue there. So in Brisbane, we heard most of it, but probably not quite all of it. But thank you so much. I'm actually going to invite Helen now up to talk about performance with purpose. Helen is our Head of Risk and Compliance.
Just Head of Risk, actually, but no, thanks, Lee. Thanks, Lisa. I'll keep an eye on this microphone too. Performance with purpose. As Kate said, I think one of the things I love about working for a super fund, very easy to connect to the purpose, because who doesn't want to retire confidently with enough money to do the things we love? But what stood out to me with this value in particular was we bring our personal best. And I love sport, watching it, not playing it. And it was 25 years ago when I was at the Sydney Olympic Stadium and watched the final of the 400-metre race that Cathy Freeman won the gold medal for. And I will always remember the lap of honour she did afterwards, where she carried both the Australian flag and the Indigenous flag, which is quite an iconic moment now. And what was interesting to me was Cathy has been interviewed multiple times after that and has said that, yes, the first feeling was one of relief because she carried such a burden on her shoulders almost. But also she said she was a bit disappointed because she could have run faster. And because she said she didn't make her PB, she was about half a second off her PB, personal best. And so I think for athletes, that's really important because there's only one gold medal, right? But we can all do our PB. And so I'm sure Cathy had a whole team holding her accountable to her purpose, which is much greater, I think, than winning a gold medal. And so I'm going to leave you with a few questions. In your role, what does your PB look like? And who can you ask to hold you accountable to reach it? And think about the amazing things that if every one of us reached our PB, what that would mean for us, Brighter Super and our members. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Helen. I'm going to hand now over to David, who I think is in the room here. Yes, there he is. David O'Donnell, I'm going to get this right this time, Head of Diversified Portfolios, around Winning Together. Take it away, David.
Lift this up a bit. Thanks, Lisa, and good morning, everyone. I think it's quite ironic or fitting that someone from the investment team gets to talk about winning because, you know, we as a team are very performance driven. We love to win. And we get a monthly check each time the super ratings data comes out to see just how well we're actually doing. But I guess the important thing with value, which really resonated with me, is the together component of this. Obviously, we as an investment team strive to do our best, deliver the best performance that we can, but we can't do it by ourselves. You know, there's a whole investment ecosystem that supports us, and the whole business more broadly also supports us to get all of the messages out. You know, so I think back of the amount of work we've done with investment operations, with investment risk, you know, with legal, tax, risk and compliance. You know, the list goes on and on. That you know, we're so thankful all the time for their help and assistance. And particularly when they have their day job to do as well. And so they're really implementing or reflecting that selflessness component of this winning together value, which, you know, one of the behaviours was operating with an enterprise mindset, recognising team members place our collective success ahead of individual outcomes. And I think that's, you know, really resonated with me, and our role in delivering returns to members is, as I said, we can't do it alone. We need everyone's help and support to get there. The other thing too that really stood out as we went through this work was one of the other behaviours was that we trust in each other. And you know, that reflects that heritage value of trust in there, but also what resonated to me is attending, you know, previous SLT on-sites, but also working in projects across the business is the depth of talent that exists right up and down the business here. And so I think that key element of breaking down silos, unlocking that talent that we have and being able to work collaboratively is really a key to our success moving forward. So, I was really excited to see this come together, particularly having this one as winning, because I think that's really a cultural shift for us to introduce in that, we want to win. We are competitive, a competitive fund. We operate in a competitive environment. So with that, I'll pass back to Lisa. So thank you.
And we have Rakshat down in Sydney, our head of service transformation, doing Unlocking Innovation. I think he's there.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Yes. So, as you can see, you couldn't see the video, but I am also wearing my blues and down in New South Wales. I'll be talking about innovation, which is quite resonating for me because I also head service transformation is quite similar. According to me, innovation is a recipe of 3 simple steps. You take a bucket, put all creative ideas into it, put that through a Shark Tank process. It could be a business case, then just make it happen. At the end of those 3 simple steps, what we get is a wonderful satisfaction once we see our ideas were implemented. Kate talked about top-down innovation. The really good example which I can give you for that is, since I started at Brighter Super, is have you ever heard a member-owned fund using their reserves to buy a retail fund? That's an amazing example of top-down innovation. It also mentioned about the bottom-up innovation that we can definitely do better. In my area of service transformation, think about the wonderful ideas that all of you came up with. You came up with more than 80 ideas. We put them in a bucket. We put them through a Shark Tank. It was Baby Shark this time. More than 40 of them were delivered. So it was all your ideas that made it happen. So we have been doing a little bit of bottom-up innovation. We can definitely do better on that. And let's keep on doing innovation more and more because it's all of our job to do it rather than just thinking it is 1 or 2 individual or the senior level will have to do it. That's it from my side. Maybe I'll hand it over back to Lisa.
Thanks, Rakshat. Thank you so much. And thank you to our 4 SLT, but also to the broader SLT. It was a really terrific offsite, and the combination of both teams together was really fabulous. So look, the opportunity for all of us is to see ourselves in those values, to really talk about how they resonate for you, how you will show up each day differently, representing those behaviours as part of the values. There is a beautiful program that is coming up, which I'm going to hand over now to our Head of Performance and Development, Kate Wolski, who will take you through some of the activities that will be happening post today.
Is that okay? I'm not too bursty on there. Good morning, everyone. I'm Kate Wolski. It is my 5th week at Brighter Super. And I cannot think of a more fantastic time to join an organisation than at a time when you're introducing new values, you're looking at cultural transformation. It's a dream come true for someone in a job like mine. So could we go to the... I'm going to take you for a quick walk down the path of what's next with our values rollout. Or are we going to watch the video? There we go. We've got it. So yes, today we're launching the new values. Across the organisation, you'll start to see a number of communications, maybe a bit of collateral here and there. There's the opportunity now that we need to start to change out some of the artefacts, so things like posters that you see across the site. The people and culture team, the wonderful people and culture team that I've joined a part of, we are going to partner with leaders to make sure that every team member gets to have a similar experience to the ELT and SLT, and that we get the opportunity to really workshop through what the purpose, what the values mean for us as individuals, and through the context of our roles as well. It's really important that we have the opportunity to make that connection. So lots of other work to be done. We know that our friends in risk and governance and PMO, there's lots of different pathways in order to create that overarching culture. So we'll do a lot of work with them around our systems process. For us, the big call outs I think that we'll focus on will be around our performance framework and how we do recognition. So everyone will have recently gone through, I hope, a personal reflection around performance through the values of trust, integrity, partnership, and really thought about what your performance means through those values. And it's time for us to adapt now and reimagine what that might look like with our new values. The same for recognition. You know, we have the Brilliance Awards, which are great. What can we do to reimagine what it means now with our new values that really guides us towards our culture and our desired strategy? And then underpinning all of that, obviously, is our capability, our leadership behaviours. So we'll do some work on how are we growing and developing our people to make sure that they are armed and ready to deliver with those specific values and leadership behaviours. So all in all, hopefully at the end, or we will in the end, be building a culture ready to deliver on our strategy and our member promise. So I love talking about anything to do with people, culture, values, and dogs as well, if anyone's a fan of dogs. Please do reach out to me if you've got thoughts, if you've got feedback, if you want to talk through anything. Really, really happy to chat, as is the P&C team. And I was trying to think of a segue to the next slide, but I can't think of one. So maybe if I say, I really love taking selfies. Talking of selfies, I'm going to hand over to Renee, who's going to talk about an external campaign.
Now, selfies make it very exciting, don't they? The other piece I've got is a bit about sunglasses. So behind the scenes, we're doing some great work to actually help bring our brand to life. But in the meantime, this quarter, we have launched, as part of our retention efforts, our Compare campaign in market. So huge call out to Emma and Odette in particular from the team, who have been the driving force behind this. But we are this week pushing live billboards across both Brisbane, so we will start to see them through CBD and across Brisbane more widely, and also into regional Queensland. So we are putting our competition back out there. We are asking everyone, if you spot a billboard, please do take a selfie, a photograph. There will be prizes. You may actually be able to win yourself this very hot property set of limited edition Brighter Super sunglasses, alongside our Prezi vouchers. But the sunglasses are in aid of the campaign hero message of side by side we shine. The campaign itself is really focusing on our strong comparison claims that we've got around performance, fees, and also service. We're really pulling out our member education. So I do hope you get to see some of these. I do look forward to seeing your selfies. And on that note, I think I'm handing back to Kate.
So that is the inaugural FY26 Fully Invested Live. I have to say, I think it's a step up on what we were doing 2 years ago. So thank you so much to the People and Culture team for the amazing work that you've done. Don't forget, when the link comes around, to have a look at that video of the exec team. It is very inspiring, but also quite amusing. So I would definitely commend it all to you. For those of you in Brisbane, looking forward to our end of financial year tea tonight. We've decided that I won't say anything. None of us will be saying anything. We're just going to have a party, because we feel like we've celebrated today and talked enough about how amazing you've all done over the last year, and the type of year that we expect to have another amazing year, I think, coming up ahead. So thanks so much all for your efforts. In Brisbane, have a great time tonight. Everybody else, have a fantastic day, and we'll see you next month.
It's